Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm back as promised a little later in the day. I did a video earlier on the eclipse cycle and the themes that we could look for out there in the collective. And when I uploaded it, I noticed that my internet connection was lagging or slow. It's still doing that, so you'll have to excuse me. I don't know. There's like something going on. I think that a lot of people are experiencing internet problems this weekend, depending on what's going on in their local area. And I definitely am. So please forgive me for the internet lag. I know you can tell, you can see it when I'm talking. So many apologies, but I didn't want to just nix the video because of that, because I did promise I'd come back and take a look at this eclipse from a personal perspective and take a look at how it might be affecting all the signs. And so that's what I'm here to do. So I'm going to pop the chart up. And in the last video, I didn't look at the Sabian symbol. So I'll do that during this symbol. So I'm going to pull up the main chart and just sort of briefly go over the placements in this particular solar eclipse chart, and then run through all of the 12 signs and let you know what area of life you can be looking for some kind of change or action to occur in your life over this next cycle. So we're talking about likely something showing up within the next 6 months, but just keep in mind that with a solar eclipse, this could be a much longer cycle for you to see things unfolding. So I'm going to pop the chart up here. We're going to take a look. I'll just point out all of the things here in the chart. So starting off, we have this eclipse happening tomorrow, April the 8th. It's happening at 11:18 a.m. where I am at in Phoenix, Arizona. So that would be 10:18 a.m. on the West Coast and 2 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States. And we know this eclipse is happening in the United States. If you haven't checked out my video from earlier today, I actually pulled up the map for the trajectory of the eclipse that is going across the United States. So you can check that out and take a look. But if you're in another part of the world, please check and see, check a time zone converter to see where this is occurring for you if you're elsewhere in the world. So let's see what we have here. We're looking at the eclipse in Aries, and that is a solar eclipse. So a new moon conjunct the nodes of the moon. So we have a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Aries, very powerful, exactly conjunct Chiron in Aries. And this is an exact conjunction. So Chiron represents wounding of some sort, possibly wounding from the past, maybe some kind of wounding coming up now. Aries is the first sign of the Zodiac, ruled by Mars. So we'll take a look at the ruler in just a second and what it's doing. But Aries represents all things related to the self. So we're talking about our identity. We're talking about our physical health. We're talking about how we take action, how we present ourselves out in the world. So even, our appearance even. So we're looking for a solar eclipse that is affecting something physically for us, or something that we're physically doing. Conjunct Chiron, again, this has something to do potentially with wounding. So things could be coming up related to your identity, your self-expression, or your physical health. We have Mercury also in this cluster of planets in Aries that is retrograde. So this Mercury will be retrograde during this eclipse cycle, and will actually in its reverse transit go over Chiron and actually trip off the 19 degrees. It'll be the first planet to activate this eclipse, which will happen on April 16th. So that's a date that you want to watch for. And we want to look for Mercury type things, which is movement. Mercury is the mind, it's communication, it's news. It is move, like physical movement in our immediate environment. And we may very well have, because it's retrograde, have some kind of past wounding come up that shows itself in the form of a communication, a message, a visit from somebody, something like that could be coming up. And we're talking about Gemini, because Mercury rules Gemini. We're also talking about things that, like transportation and cars, things in our immediate environment, our relatives, siblings, extended relatives, things like that. When we're talking about a solar eclipse in Aries, Aries rules the head, the eyes. Definitely, this is not. I know a lot of people are near the eclipse. They're trying to view the eclipse. This would definitely not be an eclipse that I would get near, and definitely, even though you're not supposed to, definitely not look at it, because I could see a lot of people getting eye damage from actually looking at this chart. But also, this is a time to be very, very careful when you're driving, careful when you are encountering large groups of people, because Aries represents accidents as well, and injuries. So in terms of this week and tomorrow for the eclipse, it's a time to be a little bit cautious in your movements for sure. So let's take a look at Mars, which is the ruler of this eclipse. And Mars is not in the greatest place. It is in an uncomfortable place in the sign of Pisces. And that has a lot to do with working through the past, potentially working through sadness, working through any kind of issues that are Pisces related. So it could be illness, it could be mental health issues, or even issues that you're working through when it comes to accessing healthcare, or really Pisces represents water. And so this could be something that you could be encountering that has something to do with water. Now, Mars is conjunct Saturn, which is setting a new cycle for the next 2 years. And when Mars, the planet that likes to take action and move forward, is hitting a planet like Saturn, it's going to slow us down a little bit. In the sign of Pisces, we may not have a clear understanding of what that is or why we're needing to slow down, but nonetheless, it is a beginning of a cycle of 2 years of hard work in some area based on whatever's coming up. And we're talking about a new moon solar eclipse in sign of Aries. This is about some kind of brand new start that we are initiating ourselves, or is all about us, the person exclusively. Now, Mars is going to move past Saturn, of course. So it's not going to stay conjunct for 2 years. It's just the beginning of a cycle. So what I'm saying is something could come up that you have to be working on, that's going to be present in your life for the next few years. But Mars will move past Saturn and get a little bit of an idea what they're going to be spending their time on over the next 2 years working through. Saturn is also work, and Saturn is time. And it may also be a time for planning. Saturn wants us to plan. Things a little tricky in Pisces, right? So it may be a bit heavy. It may be something that we have to deal with from the past. It may be something that we feel a bit alone in having to deal with. And it might involve sadness or loss in some way. When Mars moves into the sign of Aries, which will not be too long after, let's see if we can take a look at when that will be. Let me animate the chart here. All right, put it on days instead of hours. We'd be sitting here forever. Okay, so as you can see, Mars is on the move. The exact conjunction with Saturn will be on April the 10th, but tomorrow at the time of the eclipse. It's obviously still conjunct. It's very close, but you will see the exact conjunction occur on April the 10th. So that might be when you become aware of a frustration or a block of some sort, whether that be physical, emotional, or, actually, in your work, something you have to do. Mars will continue to move. And let's go back here a little bit because I said something about the 16th. As you can see, on the 16th, Mercury retrograde will actually activate the eclipse point at 19 degrees. So that's a date to watch. Continue moving forward. We'll see Mars come into contact with Neptune. Neptune dissolves things, so that could be a time where physically you're feeling fatigued, tired, or you are seeing some kind of change or loss or having to let go of something in some way. Mars will continue. Will be at 29 degrees, which is an anaretic degree on April 29th. So that would be another day to watch just after it passes Neptune. And then we see Mars enter its home sign of Aries on April the 30th, when the action will likely begin. Physically, you should feel a little bit more active, whatever's going on around you. You should start to see things speed up as Mars moves through the sign of Aries. And when Mars, we'll just go a little bit further. I'm not going to do all of the cycles. Obviously, Saturn's the next planet. But when Mars, the planet that moves quicker, actually hits the, let's go faster, there we go, hits the point of the eclipse, which will be on May 25th, and reactivates it again. As you can see, Mars will be conjunct Chiron. That's May 25th. So we already have sort of outlined like initial activation points for this eclipse. It's April the 8th. Now we're at May 25th. So we've got a potential situation within this new beginning or this new start that we're having to deal with as we start out the solar eclipse, that we start to materialize and unfold for the next few months already, if not longer. But Mars will come into a conjunction with Chiron, and Mars is important because it's the ruler of this eclipse, and that degree is being activated on May the 29th. Chiron and Mars will be exactly conjunct. That would be a day to watch significantly for any kind of injuries or wounding, even if it's emotional, coming up. Okay, by that time, Mercury will be out of retrograde. Venus will have moved through the sign of Taurus. And once Venus goes into Taurus, in its home sign, that'll be a much nicer place for that. And I think that happens at the beginning of May. So not all difficult, but this could be, we could have a little bit of a feel like we're being shot out of a cannon when things start to move with this eclipse, but it will affect all of us obviously differently. So that's what we have going on initially with this eclipse. And I didn't mention, but I'm going to, because we're going to get back to tomorrow, the 8th, on the day of the eclipse, and see that we have Venus, which is a player in this eclipse. Why? Because Venus rules the south node, which is in Libra, and Venus is under the sign of Libra. So Venus rules Libra. And we have Venus in the sign of Aries. That's another challenging place for Venus to be. Venus is in its fall. It is in the opposition to its home sign of Libra, so it doesn't operate as quickly. Really, Venus in Aries moves very quickly. It kind of does things the way that it wants. It's really looking for its own personal pleasure, and it can be a bit selfish, but it does want to start things new. And honestly, being a bit selfish with the South Node in Libra is really what we are probably looking to do, especially if we've been in situations where we have overgiven it or compromised. So this cycle with the nodes, and that's what an eclipse is, because the new moon or the full moon happens along with the nodes of the moon, is trying to get us to balance out those energies. And we're dealing with a north node in Aries, which is saying we need to take responsibility for creating our own identity, for healing our own wounds, for moving away from codependent relationships or situations that don't seem to be fair. That can be in our personal lives, because relationships are very much a hot spot right now. And also any kind of, any situations we're in. It can be any kind of relationship. It can be a business relationship, a romantic relationship, a relationship with an employer. It can be a relationship with a family member. There are all kinds of relationships. We can have a business where we cultivate relationships with our clients. It can be anything like that. Venus in the Aries is saying we have to take responsibility for creating financial wealth for ourselves, or for going after what it is that we love, Venus, what we love and what we want. So there is a very strong signature right now with with Aries and Libra nodes, to really focus on ourselves, right, and our own healing in some way. So we might see shifts in relationships of all kinds right now, and we might see people really moving off and moving out towards doing the things that they need to do to make them happy or to heal themselves. So all kinds of interesting twists and turns could be occurring, and especially with Mars in Pisces. And since Mars moved into Pisces, it's like when it comes to relationships, now could be the time where people seem to have disappeared and gone into their cocoon or their shell, or they're dealing with their own issues, and things are pretty quiet because there's a lot of contemplation going on right now of what direction we might want to or need to go to establish our own independence in the world and in our lives. So I've talked to a lot of people. It's like whatever it might be, whether they're trying to get a new job or they're in a relationship, it's like all of a sudden things have changed and gotten very quiet, almost ghosty like. And there's a sense of confusion and sadness and uncertainty in terms of what direction anything seems to be going these days. If that's what you're feeling, it's normal. Things are going to be moving forward soon enough. There will be a change of some sort, I'm sure, in situations like that in pretty short order. And then we have the new thing to start, and then we have things to resolve from the past. Mercury retrograde. Okay. So let's just jump right in to Aries. So Aries, this is your eclipse. This eclipse is happening in your first house, which is affecting your identity. It's affecting potentially your physical health, your appearance, right? Your own personal style, and how people see you out there in the world. So your ruler is Mars. I would imagine that most Aries risings are really in deep contemplation, really trying to unpack what's going on in their subconscious, working very hard behind the scenes, and maybe recovering from something and trying to figure out what direction that they need to go, how they need to take care of themselves, and move forward with the work that they have that is in front of them. This can materialize again in many different ways, right? We could have emotional issues, physical issues, actual issues with work. Aries rising could be working literally behind the scenes. Saturn rules their 10th house. They could be working behind the scenes, at home working or something like that. And whatever is going on, they're trying to birth something new, a new identity. Their ruler is going to move into the first house after this eclipse, and they're going to have to deal with how to present themselves out there in the world in a changed way. Likely there will be a change, right? Even if it's just working on your appearance, right? And working out, and hopefully if Aries have had to deal with some kind of physical issue, now it's time for the rehab. Now it's time to put the plan together. We have Mercury retrograde going over Chiron, and Mercury rules the third house. So Aries rising, want to be really careful traveling walking on the roads, who they meet up with, driving in their car. Aries can be accidents, and Mercury is there, and so is Chiron. So something to be careful of. Mercury also rules the sixth house. Sixth house is health, routines, and work, also coworkers. So this is where we kind of pull things together and work out the details. It also represents, this house also represents the house of difficulties. So, trials, tribulations, things that can be difficult to work through, that require efficiencies and well thought out, planned schedules and things like that. So that is what could be going on for Aries rising with this eclipse. Good luck, Aries. If you're an Aries rising, you'll have to let me know what's going on with your life and if any of that actually resonates for you. Do you have some stuff going on that sound a little bit like that? All right. I'm going to get back to this here. We're going to pull up Taurus rising, and I'm also going to read the Sabian symbols too at some point during this video. So let's get Taurus going. Okay, before we switch to Taurus, I did want to add something about Aries, and actually for every sign. Because we have an eclipse that is conjunct Chiron in the sign of Aries, and we are in the middle of a Mercury retrograde. This is not a good time when we're talking about our identity and starting something new. Not a good time to do things like surgery. Mars is cutting, Aries is blood. Definitely not a good time to make any kind of changes to your face or even your hair. Wardrobe things, if you want to change things up a little bit. I mean, I would be a little bit conservative about the amount of money that you spend on things. But for Aries, definitely, because it's hitting your first house. But for every sign, Mercury retrograde, not a good time to make personal changes, appearance changes, but definitely not in the sign of Aries. So I wanted to cover that before we move on here to Taurus. And so we have Taurus rising. So Taurus, for you, we have the eclipse happening in the 12th house, which is an interesting place for the eclipse. Things that are going on behind the scenes, possibly subconscious issues, possibly working things out in your dreams, or just overall things that you're keeping private, that you're working through. Your chart ruler has just moved into Aries and is a part of this eclipse. So your Venus, and it's in the 12th house as well. So what are you, what are you dreaming about, right? Or do you have a romantic partner that hasn't quite made it onto the scene out in the public? Are you letting go of some kind of love relationship, or overall trying to work out your, in your mind, your own personal value, right? So 12th house is an interesting place for the eclipse, but you'll likely be working on things behind the scenes. Mercury retrograde, we want to cover Mercury and how that plays into this eclipse, this new beginning. With an Aries eclipse in the 12th house, this might be disturbing your sleep, right? Mind could be on fire. You could be, really preoccupied with what you're trying to bring into reality, into reality, if it's a project or something like that. Or you could also be dealing with repressed anger that you're trying to clear out subconsciously. Back to Mercury, it rules Gemini, which is in the second house. So this has everything to do with your own personal self-esteem, the things that you possess and your resources, possibly even your earned income, because it is a money house. So it's possible what you're working on behind the scenes has everything to do with how you feel about yourself, possibly, or your how you're earning a living and making money. Mercury also rules your fifth house, which is Virgo, and that's going to be all about creativity, what you create. It could have something to do with your own business, how you express yourself, the things that you like to do for fun, and romance, as well as children. So look for something like that, Taurus rising. Okay. Let's move on to Gemini rising. All right, Gemini. So for you, Gemini, the eclipse is happening in the 11th house of friends, networks, acquaintances, and your hopes and dreams, the things that you want to accomplish out there in the world and who you want to do it with. Your chart ruler, Mercury, is retrograde along with the eclipse and Chiron that is conjunct. So we're talking about possibly reviewing the past or going into the past and having conversations or revisiting issues around who you are associated with. Uh, Other people that you used to be associated with could actually come back and connect with you. This is about you and a new beginning with how you operate in the world. And it's about being brave and being courageous, gaining confidence, healing a lack of confidence if that happens to be there, and really getting out there and starting something new. The 11th house is about charities. It's about connecting with other people and groups. So this is maybe you starting something new in that area. Venus is in there. So you might be really attractive to other people and very much welcomed into other groups. The thing to watch out for with Venus in the 11th house and Aries is in the 11th house is not to be so impulsive and so, so much thinking about just what it is that you want that you alienate yourself from groups as well. So you can be a leader in a group, but you want to be inspiring within a group. If we look at your chart ruler, that affects your actual identity too. So something about whoever you're connecting with, or what you're doing, or what your hopes are, your dreams are, what you're trying to create, has everything to do with your own personal identity as well. So there's potentially a new beginning and a change coming. It could be connected to your career. You have the Mars Saturn conjunction in your 10th house of your public image and your career. So you may be struggling a little bit with the direction to go, or how to materialize what it is that you're trying to accomplish, or whether or not you actually should move beyond a comfort zone, possibly out there in the world. And, it could be actually something that you're trying to balance between your responsibilities at home and the things that you do out in the world. Because Mercury rules your 4th house. So the family comes in on that axis potentially, or the past even. 4th house is the past. Okay. So we are moving on to Cancer rising. For you, Cancer, we have this eclipse happening in the 10th house of your career. So this is your career house. It's the very top of the chart. It's how you stand out in public. It's about your reputation. We have this eclipse conjunct Chiron and Mercury. This indicates to me that you may have to create confidence or do some PR work in terms of your public image and how people see you. Your reputation is the 10th house. There's something new that you want to start in the area of your career, or even your public commitments. So you could be seen differently out there in the world by other people and what it is that you stand for. Mercury rules your, oh goodness, where's that? Mercury rules your 12th house. So this is something you could be working on behind the scenes. It could have something to do with siblings or relatives, potentially, or something that you need to communicate, right? Put together, research, learn when it comes to merging the work that you're doing, possibly something from the past, into what it is that you're trying to do out there in the public for your career. Venus is up here, so you're really thinking about what it is that you need, what you want, how you can present yourself as very strong, you know, confident individual in creating something new in the area of your career. You have a Mars and Saturn conjunction in the ninth house of your beliefs, of higher learning, of foreign travel as well, and possibly even legal issues, because that's the ninth house. So there's something going on there where you might feel a little lost, a little frustrated, a little uncertain of the direction that you're going. You might be feeling a little flat, maybe not have be able to hang on to faith as much as you would like to or normally do. Ninth house is where we have faith, but there's something that you could be butting up against that is making you feel like you either don't believe that you can create this new beginning, or there's something that may be holding you back in some way. So just be patient, take the time that you need, learn whatever you need in terms of the skills or education, or just clearing out your mind, so that when you are ready to start, or this new process pops off, you're ready to roll. It could just be a lot of pressure, so you could be in deep contemplation. Mercury also rules your third house, which is the house of siblings and your immediate environment, the things that you're learning, and possibly travel in some way. So the retrograde will be affecting your mind and how your mind works and what you're learning, and it may require you to revisit or rework some things in that area of your life. So very much could be about you just taking your own power and your own control, and people are seeing sort of like a new you. Being a Cancer rising, you wear your emotions on your sleeve, and you tend to be very protective of yourself and people that are around you. So if this has to do with relatives, or something that you have to have a conversation about with a relative or a sibling, that you'll be able to actually reach out, show yourself, express what it is that you feel and what it is that you need. So look for something in the area of your public life, or maybe even your career. Okay. Let's move on to Leo. So Leo rising, this is a big eclipse for you. You are ruled by the sun, and this is a solar eclipse that is happening in your ninth house of higher education, your philosophies, your beliefs, possibly long distance travel. It's also the house of legal issues. It's also the house of awards and achievements and accolades. So there's something new that is starting there, or something that needs to be revisited in that area. Remember, Chiron is conjunct. So if you're traveling, be extra careful and cautious when it comes to traveling, especially if it's a longer distance. Mercury rules, which is retrograde, rules your second house. Your second house is what you possess, and it's also your own personal self-esteem and your earned income. So there's something connected there with the Mercury retrograde that you may have to go back and revisit. It's also a money house, so it's a house of finances as well. That Mercury also rules Gemini, which has to do with networks and friends and people you're involved with. So it may require reconnecting with people that you are associated with in some way. It may have something to do with work, which would, of course, then relate to the second house of income or resources. So maybe you're learning something new that you're ready to put out there in the world when it comes to your career and your ability to earn money. You do have the let me get that out of there. You do have the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in your 10th house of your public image and career. So there's some kind of change coming. So it looks to me like it's preparation for this new start. And you've got the Mars-Saturn conjunction in your 8th house. So there is a bit of transformation going on. It might have something to do with debt or resources with a partner that you might have to be working out right now before you can move into this new start. Just be patient. and with whoever you're working with. If it is a partner, the 8th house is also the house of death, and in addition to transformation, and it does have connections to things like insurance and inheritances and things like that. So if you're dealing with something like that and you're having to, get all of the legal stuff together, it becomes something that you have to process, through a court system, there could be a bit of a slow start, a little bit of uncertainty in terms of the direction, but that should reveal itself, should work itself out, and you should be able to move forward with your new beginning in Aries, which all of us are trying to get started. Although I think a lot of us aren't really feeling it quite yet. Might be kind of feeling a little bit separated and a little unsure of what we are supposed to be doing and how we're actually going to make it happen. Butting up against, everybody's got that Mars Saturn conjunction, that new cycle starting. So we all know that there are decisions to be made and hard work ahead potentially. Okay, so Virgo rising, we have the eclipse happening in your 8th house. This is a house of transformation, change, intimacy. It is also the house of partners, other people's resources, but it's also the house of loss and death. So, hopefully Virgo rising isn't experiencing something like that, but your chart ruler is retrograde, conjunct Chiron, and it is in the 8th house as well. So it indicates to me that, Mercury is you, that you are transforming something, some kind of wounding, revisiting something from the past, and hoping to emerge from that 8th house with something new to offer, with a new part of you, something that you've worked hard on and transformed. Could have something to do definitely with a partner or other people that are helping you with the Mars conjunct Saturn in the 7th house of others, and that can be others that you work with. So an employer, it could be others in terms of partners. Or mentors, just other people that are influencing your life, that might be helping direct you or sort of build a plan. Mars conjunct Saturn can be building a plan, but it might feel you might feel a little bit disconnected from it right now, maybe a little bit separate from working with other people or the connections that you have. But Mars will pass, will go into the 8th house, and you'll be able to power up that transformation. And remember, Aries is a physical sign, so it is likely and potentially energy related. Hopefully, it's not accident related. You want to really watch it there in the 8th house, but likely a significant transformation for you. Hopefully it should be positive. You've got the Jupiter Uranus conjunction in your 9th house, and Jupiter loves it in the 9th house. So some kind of big blessing or change is coming for you in the 9th house of your higher education, your beliefs, your own personal self-development, and possibly foreign travel. And that trines your ascendant. So I see that as positive. It also trines your 5th house, which is the 5th house of pleasure, and the things that you like to do. It can be hobbies, it can be sports, it can be your own personal expression. So there's something being born here that might be a little bit hard to accomplish and require a really hard transformation, but that actually, I think it looks to me like it will come to you, right, with some hard work, right, and maybe some direction or working things out with other people in your life. Okay. All right, let's go to Libra. All right, Libra, you have got this eclipse happening in your 7th house of relationships. So this is about other people. It can be partners, it can be employers, it can be clients, it can be services that you're offering if you own your own business. Venus is your chart ruler, and you've got Venus over there in the 7th house. So you've popped over in the 7th house, and what is it that you are putting out there, or starting new, maybe offering a new service if it's regarding clients, or maybe you could have a partner coming in that's trying to motivate you. You could also be the Libra that, historically overgives and is now taking into account and really being brave enough to ask for what it is they want in a relationship and saying, I'm going to, I need this, and this is the direction that I want to go, and this is what I love, and this is who I love, and I'm starting over. Remember, Mercury and Chiron are there. Chiron is conjunct, so this might come with a little bit of pain when it comes to relationships. Other people, it's on the Libra, Aries axis, and Venus. It's in Aries. Your chart ruler is ruling the South Node, which is in your first house. So this is a change of your identity and how it is that you interact, and it might be taking away from you relationships and situations that are not balanced. So either you're having to change your expression or you're requiring that of other people. The Mars Saturn conjunction is in your sixth house. That can be the house of, where we work things out. It can be the house of troubles, trials, tribulations, but it is also the house of health, routines, and in our coworkers, so there's some kind of hard work going on. There's some kind of block that you might be feeling in that area, whether it's physical or, it could actually be emotional too, if you're having emotional difficulties that are affecting relationships. So look for something like that. Just know that there is a new beginning coming. It is going to require you to step out and declare what it is that makes you happy and what you like. But you also may be dealing with partners that are coming to you with their wants and needs, and therefore it is changing the trajectory or the flavor of some of your relationships. So that is for Libra. All right. So we have next on the list Scorpio. All right, Scorpio. So Scorpio rising. This eclipse is happening in your sixth house. This is the sixth house of your daily routines, your schedules, the people that you work with. It can be the house of annoyances and trouble and things that we have to work out. And it is also the house of health. So for Scorpio rising, this is a brand new start in how it is that you take care of yourself, but also how it is that you give of yourself to other people. There could be some things that you're working out. When you're talking about Aries, these could be things that are aggressive or impulsive. And when it comes to things like your physical body and the things that you do every day and how you interact with people at work, right? Or just people that you deal with every day. You probably want to be a little careful, not impulsive. Watch the anger, watch the aggression, because that is the house of accidents as well. So probably want to be a little cautious. Mars is conjunct Saturn in your fifth house, which is the house of joy, pleasure, your pastimes, the things that you like to do for fun and romance, and also children. So anything that we create. Mars is your secondary ruler along with Pluto, and Mars is butting up against Saturn. So you personally are running into roadblocks. Could be emotional issues that you're dealing with. It could literally be that you're having to work on cutting something out in terms of what the things that you do for pleasure. This is the beginning of a 2-year cycle. Mars conjunct Saturn. You're going to have to work really hard, and it's going to have something to do with things that are going to help you create a better routine for yourself and possibly better health, or fold something new into the work that you do on a daily basis and the people that you work with. Just know with Mercury retrograde, this may require going back and doing some healing, having conversations, especially in the house of cleaning things up and working things out. Mercury rules your eighth house, so this could have something to do with the transformation of how you communicate. It could have something to do with a sibling or a family member, and inheritances or helping with joint finances, shared resources. That's also the house of death, in addition to transformation. So something there. It's also the house of intimacy. So you could be working through issues when it comes to how you interact with partners when it comes to intimate relationships, or relationships where you might need to share resources, things like money debts, things like that. Mercury also rules your 10th house, which is the top of your chart, your career, your public image. So there's something there that this Mercury retrograde is contributing to. Maybe you're going back to a job that you used to do and interacting with those people, or maybe you're working on cleaning up some of the things on a daily basis and the things that you do for fun, or whatever the case may be, because you want to change and clean up possibly your reputation in the public. You want to see people to see you differently. All right. Next we have Sagittarius. So for Sagittarius, we have the eclipse happening over here in the 5th house of pleasure and creativity. This is a great place for Sagittarius. This is a nice eclipse for Sagittarius when it comes to a new beginning of some sort. So a solar eclipse in the sign of Aries, it might come with some revisiting issues, past wounding, maybe with partners or people that you were in relationships with. So there might need to be some conversations. This could involve romance. It could involve children, but there's something here that has to be healed potentially or revisited with Mercury retrograde. Also, maybe, if you do hear, because Mercury is messages and visits and emails and things like that, you hear from a past partner, with the Mercury retrograde and Chiron there, it might be a good idea for you to sort of sit on it for a little bit. And if you engage, just sort of, easy does it, take it slow, see how things play out during the retrograde. Mercury also rules your 10th house, which is your career house. So this could have a lot to do with your outer image and your career. Mars Saturn is conjunct in your 4th house, which is your home and family. So there may be some challenges in your living situation or in clearing out or dealing with some things from the past. Could be emotional, could actually be problems in your home when it comes to water issues, things like that. But it kind of looks to me more like it's something that you need to create. Maybe there's some uncertainty about where you're going to live, what you're going to do, and how your past sort of folds into your future and this new start that should be coming here for you with this eclipse in Aries. Okay, we have next Capricorn. So for Capricorn rising, we have this eclipse happening for you in your 4th house. So there are some changes, new beginnings, possibly even a move. Aries solar eclipse is something brand new in your 4th house, which is your home and your foundation. We had a Mercury retrograde there, conjunct Chiron. So I would be careful with electrical stuff, with working on things at home, the DIY, do-it-yourself stuff. Remember, Aries rules the head. So if you are doing, participating in manual labor, construction in your home, you want to be really careful that you don't get hurt physically, right? Aries is the head, the blood, accidents, things like that. But it can also be things that you're working through related to the past. Mercury is retrograde, and the Chiron is conjunct this eclipse. So there is something to work out, and it could be past family issues for sure. Or like I said, if you're physically working, which Aries is very much physically about, and you're brave enough to take on this task and start this project, there may be some things that you have to go back and rework. So easy does it, take it slow. Maybe just go back, double check, recheck things that you've been working on, or maybe you've hired contractors, but be careful with contracts and just, go over things very, very carefully when it comes to things that affect your home. Venus is there. So this might be a lot of money that you have to spend if you're working on home renovations, but it might be something that you really feel strongly about that is going to benefit you. And it may be a project that you're like, no, this is what I want to do, and this is what will make me happy. Or you could be saying, I'm getting all this done because I want to move somewhere else. I want to live somewhere brand new, and this is going, this is what I want to do. And having a conversation with family about what that looks like. And since the South Node is in your 10th house, it's maybe leaving a job to start something different that is in a different area that puts you in a new home base, or allows you to work at home. Or maybe there is something you have to balance between work and home. You have Mars conjunct Saturn, which is your chart ruler, starting a new cycle in your third house. And the third house is your immediate environment. It is also related to relatives and siblings, conversations, the mind. So this could be a lot of planning things, working through things. It could also require, because your Saturn, you helping out family members, or actually clearing out your immediate space or environment. And Mars here is sort of pushing you along, and Mars is connected to this eclipse. So yeah, you may be a little tired, you may not want to do it. You might be the one that's saying, oh no, we're not doing this right, hold the phone. You might be the one that's causing the delay, or backing things up, so that things get straightened out and started the right way. So just be careful not to run into conflicts or problems with people if you're working through things like that. Okay, so that is Capricorn. Oh, let's see. All right, so get this erased here. And we're going to go to Aquarius rising. Yeah, okay. So Aquarius rising, this eclipse is happening in your third house. This is the house of your immediate environment. It is the house of siblings and relatives. It is the house of travel, short travel, transportation. It is the house of cars. This and also the house of conversations, the mind, messages. So you are Saturn as well. That's your secondary ruler, but you're also Uranus here, which is in the fourth house, getting ready to come. Jupiter's coming conjunct. So there's going to be a change in your home base, your foundation, or your family in some way that could be quite surprising, whether that's growing your family, moving, or just having something change and progress, to the next level in some way. But it might require you having conversations or a change in mindset for clearing out some things, going back and revisiting, having conversations, trying to heal wounds. One thing I would be careful of in the third house, because we're talking about Aries and the solar eclipse conjunct Chiron, with Mercury in it, is to be really careful about accidents as you're moving around in your immediate environment, whether that be in a car or on foot. Also to be careful that conversations that might have some kind of wounding attached to it don't turn into violent or aggressive kinds of exchanges. This is an eclipse where we want to stand up for ourselves, be brave, express ourselves, but we want to do it appropriately. Venus is there, it's going to pull us into, really wanting to express the things that make us happy. But Venus can add a little bit of sweetness, even though it's in its fall in Aries, and remind us that we have to be agreeable too. So depending on what side you fall on, it's going to be important to not be too demanding, that a give and take is here, but that ultimately you're able to get moving on whatever it is that you need to do for yourself. And that may have something to do with conversation. So possibly, again, with siblings, this could also relate to things like contracts or transactions. So you just want to be a little bit careful. Aquarius rising, you're used to things changing on a dime. You're used to, sometimes having erratic and just quick changes just in general. I mean, you are one of the signs that that changes quite quickly, and happens to surprise other people as well as be person that is dealing with unexpected things and surprises. Mars is conjunct Saturn. That's the beginning of a new cycle. It is in your second house, which is your own personal self-esteem. It's about the things that we consume, and it's also about your earned income. So there's some kind of cycle starting where you're going to have to work very hard, potentially when it comes to healing yourself, but physically possibly, or cutting out things that you consume, or just really watching your finances. That seems to be a big theme. And of course, Mars ruling the third house, we want to be careful that it's not connected to losses or issues that have to do with fire or accidents. And when it comes to cars, transportation, or arguments that you might have where, you've got, collateral damage that you're having to fix for a while. Otherwise, this is a good time to slow down. Use this Mars Saturn to plan, sort of step back, contemplate, heal a little bit, save your money before you move forward. Just I think being extremely careful about being about impulsivity is going to be really important for Aquarius. Let's see, Mercury, which is retrograde, rules your fifth house. So this could have something to do with something you're trying to create. It could have to do with your own joy, pleasure, your, your pastimes, the things that you do for fun. And because Gemini is about moving, transportation, conversation, the mind, again, double down on the how necessary it is for you to be careful in your movements and in your conversations. But the fifth house is also about children, anything that we create. So there could be something coming up there about around children. Mercury also rules the eighth house, which is the house of transformation. It's also the house of death, and shared resources with other people. So you might have some obligations there monetarily that are affecting your second house, your income. So those are the money houses. So there may be some things to work through or discuss when it comes to your obligations with other people. But also, Mercury in the third house ruling the eighth house, this could be dealing with things like insurance or inheritances when it comes to family members having to have conversations, go through paperwork, things like that. I hope that's not what the case is, but if I didn't mention the fact that the eighth house is significant in terms of transformation, it also includes death. Then I wouldn't be giving you a complete explanation. The eighth house is also about taxes too. So there might be some kind of a tax issue that you're having to hash over that is affecting your income. And again, it might have something to do with relatives or conversations. It could be pretty frustrating. This might be a slow process for you, and you might feel it, in your wallet, right? So, it's going to be important to take care of yourself emotionally for sure during this time period. Okay. And last but not least, we have Pisces. All right, Pisces. So here we have this eclipse in your second house, which is the house of what you possess. So it's your earned income. It's also the house of what you consume, and what your earned income is. So there's a new beginning there. This might be you asking for what you deserve in terms of how you're paid through your employer. This could be you starting a new program that cuts out, because Mars rules Aries, cuts out things that you don't need to consume because you're working out more. You possess your body, so this very much has could have something to do with you and your own personal well-being, self-esteem, and your body. And we've got Mercury conjunct Chiron, conjunct the eclipse in your second house. So it's money related, it's self-esteem related. something new happening there. This could have something to do with a partner or somebody that you may be working with that could be helping you, or you could be helping them when it comes to some kind of money issue or conversation regarding self-worth. Very much self-worth, especially with Venus in the second house in Aries. You could be demanding that and trying to work something out with another party. Uh, Mercury also rules the fourth house for you, which is the home and family. So this could have to do with your home base. This could have to do with negotiating pricing for housing, or working something out with a relative or a family member. Something that has to do with family, home, foundation, your actual the place you're living. Uh, but you are trying to increase your income in some way, really, it looks like, which in turn will help you feel better. Or again, like I said, it could be physical because Mars, the ruler, is in your first house, and that is you. The first house is you, your body, your self expression. It is your identity out there in the world. And so there is a relation between you personally and what's going on with this eclipse that is in your second house of money and self-esteem. So it's about self-worth. It's about generating income. It's about creating health and physical strength in some way, and being brave enough to actually start something new. And it may have to do with if it's money, paying off debts, working things out with a partner, or a lawyer, or somebody helping you to figure out a financial issue. Or this is you having to take a look and heal something about how it is you feel about yourself personally. It's very much related, and the Mars Saturn conjunction is the beginning of a 2-year cycle of where you are working hard to change who you are as a person, what your identity is. And there could be some confusion. You could feel a little sad, maybe, you know, a little left out, or you could be enjoying, honestly, that hard work. It just depends on the uh, the situation that's going on for you right now. Let's see. What else can I say? Something, nice, some kind of blessing is coming. One of your chart rulers, Jupiter, is in third house, getting ready to come into conjunction with Uranus. So you could be, you know, getting some very good news. Uh, and it could be related to a relative or a sibling, possibly some kind of change and glow up. Could even be a new car. You never know. There's something that you're preparing for. There is a new expression, a new you coming that you are likely to be working very hard on. Mercury, like I said, rules the fourth house. So somehow home, foundation, family, and also seventh. So that retrograde is going to bring issues in to work out with other people and possibly with family members and could be related to your home base. All right, so that is Pisces. So there you have it. All 12 signs. Woohoo! I am going to go over the Sabian symbols because I promised to do that. And what I'm going to do is just really quickly. So we're talking about Aries 19, which in the Sabian symbols is 20 degrees of Aries. That's what we look at. I read these already, but I'm really what I'm going to do is reference a different site. I have a book that I usually read from, a couple of them, and I will read from one, but I found a couple other references that I really like for this. So 20 degrees of Aries. So keep in mind that this relates to this degree, to this eclipse. Keep in mind that this is the beginning of a longer cycle potentially, and the initiation of this eclipse. We may not see anything pop off for 8 to 10 days, or start to get an idea of what it is or the direction that we're going. And there may be a bit of a struggle between now and the end of May, beginning of June, but then I think we're going to start moving forward. And then of course the long-term effects and how it unfolds is a much longer cycle, 6 months plus. This can be the beginning of a much longer cycle for some of us. Okay, so 20 degrees of Aries is a young girl feeding birds in winter. Participation of self in a life larger than any conception of selfhood. Protection or the need for protection. So take that as it resonates. There's another book I want to read from, which is different from the book that I normally read from. And this is The Zodiac by Degrees by Martin Goldsmith. And I like to reference this book sometimes because it's a little bit of an updated version of the interpretation of the Sabian symbols. So it's not the traditional actual Sabian symbol as it was translated or channeled. Although what I just read to you has everything. It is the little girl. The actual Sabian symbol is a young girl feeding birds in the winter. So that's interesting. Birds usually don't come out and perch during the winter. Maybe certain kinds of birds. Maybe this is talking about the geographical location of where birds might be out in the winter. We know birds fly south for the winter. And if you watched my other video in the cycles here, this might have something to do with the southern part of the country, right? The southern part of the country, United States, where this eclipse is happening, but also be on the southern border here. So that's kind of interesting. We're talking about young girls. Maybe this is children, but young girls also represent something new. And Aries represents something new. And feeding birds is an action, right? It's like actually doing something. It's very giving. It's very charitable. So there's an element here to that. Yeah, interesting. Something to think of. Feeding them in the winter with an Aries solar eclipse, which is hot, right? Aries is a fire sign, a cardinal fire sign. Yes, it takes action, but Aries is hot. So, and then we've got the little girl in the winter. So ponder on that a little bit. It's interesting. Anyway, the Sabian symbol, as it was translated in more of a modern style by Martin Goldsmith, reads, a Victorian playwright walks arm in arm with his fashionably dressed mistress in a crowded public park. Being comfortable enough with oneself that one doesn't care what others think. That's very much this Aries. That's very much Aries. May leave behind the narrow values of their family to explore new territory. So this is breaking out of tradition. This is doing things our way, doing things differently. This is doing what makes us happy, what we want. And it may be surprising to other people. It may look like, something brand new, it may look like a little girl feeding birds in the wintertime. That's not traditional. Could be something like that. Or you could find yourself in a completely different place. Creating shockwaves. Well, there you go. Creating shockwaves with one's behavior, but remaining unflappable amidst the public's ruffled feathers. Taking others, well, there's the birds, ruffled feathers. Taking others on their own terms and expecting to be treated in similar fashion. So this is people accepting people for who they are, accepting one another for who they are. Once everybody has the confidence and they're brave enough to show their true selves to one another. Unconventional partners. So this is a breakdown of tradition. This is a breakdown of what's normal. So now I'm starting to see the girl feeding chickens in the winter. That's different. It's not traditional. Developing one's personal taste and style and expressing it with gracious abandon. This is unapologetically being yourself, going after what you want, and leaving behind relationships where you had to compromise your true expressions. Developing an intimate relationship with one's muse, meditative attunement, creative union of the cultural elite and the demi-monde, jazz, poetry, dance, and other bohemian arts. So you might be talking about a little bit of a nomadic type thing going on here where we're just launching out discovery, kind of like the fool on the tarot card, right? Just kind of going for it. Very much this eclipse. Brazenly overstepping the bounds of bourgeois morality, selfish and amoral. So we could see some of that. That's up for, I guess that's in the eye of whoever's seeing it. That's about perspective, but as long as we're treating one another well and not harming, I think people are going to be letting their hair down and kind of trying new things here into the future, telling it like it is. Okay, so we're going to be making statements. This is Aries is very much about making statements. I am, I want, I need, I love, and it's all about my individual expression. Having the courage to act upon one's beliefs, having chutzpah. I have a lot of Jewish friends, and the word chutzpah is basically having a lot of nerve. And what's interesting is the Mercury retrograde is going to Cazimi the sun at 22 degrees, and that will trine Leo, which is about expression. So I know the Sabian symbol for 22 degrees of Leo is really about chutzpah. It's about the audacity of doing something or expressing something or showing, a side of you, or it is about being shocking. I don't know what 22 Aries is. Let's just take a look, because that Cazimi, when I heard that, it's like it reminded me of the Cazimi that's coming shortly after the eclipse. So 22 Aries, it would be a woman in pastel colors carrying a heavy and valuable but veiled load. First maturity of conscious life in any phase of experience, sense of value and delicacy or wastefulness. A keyword, innocence. Okay. Well, maybe that is just the mind of a child, the action of a child, something brand new. Aries has a reputation for doing things spontaneously and sort of sometimes jumping the gun, sometimes hurting feelings, or even hurting themselves because they're moving so quickly. They don't mean anything by it. They just get excited and they want to get things going. Kind of going back again to that Fool card. So this should be interesting to see what people are declaring. How much polarity there's going to be in the way they've existed in the world and within their relationships to whatever for so long. And now we're being encouraged to really dig down deep inside, even if it's something we've never shown people, and be brave enough to express who we are authentically and heal some of those wounds. Probably things that we've always wanted to do, or parts of us who have always been there. But that Chiron there, it's like we were wounded. We weren't allowed to express those things. It wasn't okay based on tradition to be who we truly wanted to be, or love who we truly wanted to love. So I love that for the ending of this video, and to sort of cap off a meaning, a little bit more depth of this solar eclipse in Aries. It may not be an easy start, but I think it's also too with Chiron there, and I talked about it in my other video, is like we can be the hero of our own lives, but we can also, because we know what the wounding feels like, we can help other people. So a lot of give and take too. The little girl feeding the birds in winter, they're out of place. So are we helping others that don't have a place or need to be accepted? So maybe there's some give and take, and boy, wouldn't it be good to see a new start in society. And see things like that going on. Anyway, so thanks for being here. I wanted to go through the signs really quickly. I know I said I thought I might do it live. I didn't do that, obviously, but I'm wishing you all a very happy, healthy solar eclipse, and anticipating that we'll all center ourselves into ourselves, and be able to take some leaps and bounds after some very frustrating and hard work, possibly wading through some confusion, jumping into a new start of something, a new us, a new collective experience in some way. So thanks so much for being here. Please like, subscribe, and share the video if you'd like to take a look at your chart. My contact information is below. Until next time, may the stars forever, ever be in your favor. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.